Alright, morning guys. I want to kind of get started right on 11 because we've got a lot to get to today. So, how's everybody's morning going? Thumbs up, thumbs down? So, I'm going to jump straight into this, a little bit of background so you kind of get an idea of why you should listen to what I'm going to tell you. So, started off working in digital marketing agencies, worked with a bunch of large brands, have spent over $100 to $150 million on Facebook ads. Also started a software company that runs viral giveaways called Viper. So today I'm going to kind of go over how to use Facebook for maximum growth, how to not waste a ton of money trying to start out with Facebook ads, how to structure your account so it's going to be effective, profitable, and you're going to be able to move forward and grow at a much better pace than if you were to try and learn it yourself. So we're going to try and pack in a lot in this little session, and we'll probably try and do questions at the end, because I might answer your question a little bit later. So, we just went over that, but essentially this is the outline. How to do a successful account, what's the difference between remarketing and prospecting, how you need to start looking at traffic, warm, cold, and hot. We'll go over that and what that means. How to write good Facebook ad copy. So ad copy is very different to blogging or organic copy. So I'll show you how to write good ad copy. And we'll also go into how to find audience to target and all that sort of stuff, and then leveraging Facebook with contests for viral growth. There's going to be some examples and all that sort of stuff in there. Okay, so just to start off so everybody kind of understands this, the basics to digital marketing, it's kind of like a triangle. Everything's a triangle. So there's three levers that you can pull in marketing essentially. And these three things are things you're going to want to work on. So you're going to work on your ad copy and creative. So when you're running Facebook ads, or this can really apply to any ad platform, you're going to want to change these three things. One is you're going to want to have good copy and creative. Image and video, super important, and then copy. Then you're going to want to change and fix your website experience. So is everything mobile optimized? When they click through your ad, are they landing on a page or an experience that they're expecting from the ad? And then the third section of the triangle is the targeting. Are you showing your ad to the right people? So if you keep these three things in mind, and when you create an ad or a post on any ad platform, especially Facebook and Instagram, you can look at these three things and keep adjusting these to keep improving your marketing and your ads. So now that we kind of know the basic structure of what you need to look at and what you need to focus on, I'll just briefly run through kind of the different types of traffic you can have. So you're going to have hot traffic, which is going to be the most engaged people. They've been to your website before, they know your brand, they know who you are, they might know that you are selling something. It might be a course, you might even be getting them to buy an affiliate product, you might sell tours or whatever it may be that you're selling. They are probably aware of what you're trying to sell them. So that is the hottest traffic, and that's always going to be your lowest cost per acquisition, which is the CPA. So that's going to cost you the least amount of money to get them to do what you want them to do. And then in Facebook, you're going to have another one that's called warm audiences. And this is all data-driven audiences. So as soon as you have your blog, you should be adding your Facebook pixel to your website. If anybody doesn't know how to do that, there's a ton of documentation on Facebook. And essentially, if you're on WordPress, it's a plugin. Use the plugin that AdExpresso has created, and you just put in your ID for your pixel, and they do the rest for you. If you're on any other thing, any other platforms, there's always a relatively easy integration. But the first thing you want to do is add that Facebook pixel so that you can do this retargeting stuff. Because when someone visits your site, that's going to be logged by the pixel, and then you can create audiences in Facebook to retarget them. So say someone comes to a blog post, and you want to retarget them to sell them, maybe the blog post is about traveling in Vietnam, and you want to sell them a Vietnam package or tour. You can then, once you've got the pixel, you can actually send them to that blog post and then retarget them on Facebook to send them back to your product page for that Vietnam tour or something you're trying to sell them. So adding your pixel is very important for capturing this hot traffic that you're going to retarget to. Your second section is your warm audiences. So Facebook allows you to actually create audiences from this pixel and then extrapolate that audience. So that means that if you have 10,000 visitors coming to your site a day, and you're spending money on your remarketing and you've maxed out on that, you can then take that audience and say, okay, I want to find 1% of America that is most alike my 180 visitors. Say you're getting 10,000 visitors a month. I want to find 1% of America that is most similar to this 10,000 visitors that I'm getting a month. And so they're called lookalike audiences. And so these are the audiences that you're going to want to target who don't know about you, but are going to be a very high contender for liking your stuff. Because they've got similar traits to people who are already visiting your site, already purchasing whatever you're selling, or already signing up to your email list. So that's very important, doing those warm audiences. It's very easy to set up under the Facebook audience section. I can give you resources at the end of this on like how to learn more about the Facebook stuff, because we just want to go through this quickly. And then the cold audiences is like targeting stuff. So when you create ads and you're like, okay, I want to show this ad to everybody who is a frequent traveler and they like TripAdvisor. And so that's cold audiences. And so the cost to acquire these people, whether it's a cost per click or a cost per acquisition, starts at the lowest at the hot traffic and goes the highest to the cold traffic. So now we know about the traffic, how do we actually engage these people? So when you're writing ad copy, it's a little bit different to writing story copy and that sort of thing. You've got a very short period of time to capture someone's attention. And so you really want to use something like this. So you're looking at who are you targeting. You want to call out who you're targeting. You want to give them, like, what problem are you trying to solve? So it's like, is it you're trying to get people to read a safety about travel? So you want to call out those people in your ad. Then you want to really engage them with using emojis, dot points, lists, all that sort of stuff, so that when people are scrolling through their feeds, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, they're going to see your ad and they're going to stop scrolling, because one, it's going to capture their attention and it's going to call out to them. One big thing, or the biggest problem that I see people doing, is not using this thing called dark posts. So now that you have the audience, you've got the ad, what you really want to do is you want to use this thing called dark posts. So instead of just running ads, you want to actually use a particular post. And this is really easy to set up once you get the hang of it. So the first step is to actually create your ad, or even create a regular post on your Facebook. And there's going to be a URL there. And what you want to do is you want to take that little number at the end of that URL, and anytime you create an ad or anything, you want to choose to use that particular post as opposed to creating a new ad. Now, the reason you're going to do this is because if you're running multiple ads, multiple campaigns, all that sort of stuff, instead of having a new fresh ad with 0 social engagements every time, if you use this method with adding an existing post with that ID on the end, every single ad and campaign is going to be using that exact same post. So all of your social engagement is going to be pooled to a singular post as opposed to spread across all of your campaigns. Because when you use ads, it creates a new post for every single ad set and campaign that you do. So definitely use this method if you have a really good post and you want to promote it and get it in front of new people. Take that post ID that's on the end of the URL and use that to promote it. And always use the ads manager. Don't ever use the just boost the post when you're kind of like scrolling through your Facebook and it says like, hey, do you want to boost this post? Don't ever use that. It's a sure way to waste money, and it's essentially the lazy way that Facebook's just trying to take people's money who can't be bothered going into the ads manager and selecting good audience, good settings, and using good ads. So you're going to be wasting a lot of your money if you do that boost post, as opposed to actually learning how to use this and setting it up correctly. And the difference can be, you might be paying really cheap clicks for that boosted post, but it's a completely useless audience to you. It might be people who don't even live in the country you're targeting. It might be people who aren't even interested in your blog or product. They're just like bots clicking on ads, or it's just people randomly clicking on stuff who have no interest. So you want to make sure that you're using the ads manager so you can control everything, who you're showing your ad to, when it's serving, and in the placements that it's serving. So the second step of this is to actually take that post URL and that ID on the end, and then just add it under that existing post. Okay, so who's been in the Ads Manager, Facebook Ads Manager? Oh, good. This is actually not bad. So you kind of know what I'm talking about. I can show you after if you want to see the back end of an ads manager. I'll show you the back end. Okay, so now that we know that we need to use Ads Manager, we know how to get the post. Now what you want to do is you want to know who am I going to target. So you've already added your pixel, so you're doing some retargeting stuff. I highly suggest that if you're a larger blog and you want to bring in more traffic, you want to kind of like just boost every third or fourth post by using that method that I was just showing you. So, but what you're going to want to do is you're going to actually want to find new people to show this content to. So instead of just using your remarketing and showing this to people who've already visited your site, you might want to find new people to show your content to because you want to get more prospecting traffic. Prospecting traffic meaning someone who's never seen your blog before. So what you do there is you actually go into audience insights and you can search particular interests in audience insights and it will show you all of the information about that audience. Their age, where they live, similar interests, similar likes. If they've got kids, well, they don't show how much they make anymore, they used to. But you can get a ton of information. So if you wanted to search, so say you did travel photography and you wanted to find out everybody who's interested in travel photography on Facebook and what other similar things they have an interest in, what their general age is, if they're male, female, you can go into this audience insights and get all of that information, and that's really going to help you target people who are going to be more interested in your content. So this is kind of like the back end once you do that. So you can search, you can see on the left, before it scrolls down, I'm searching in this one, travel blogger. And so you can get all of the similar interests that people have that already fit into this travel blogger audience. And then you can see what they're similar like and all the categories that they like too. So that's how you want to find that cold prospecting traffic, and that's how you want to target that stuff. This is a little bit more advanced because it's already once you've got your ads running. So once you've got your ads running, you're going to want to optimize them. So some basics for optimizing your ads is don't use the audience network. So when you're showing your ads, you have a ton of placements. There's about 16 placements now on Facebook. So you have Facebook, Instagram, you have like stories, audience network. So you have a bunch there. So what you want to do is you only ever want to target the news feed and stories, because those two feeds, they have the most real estate when people are scrolling through their apps, and they also have the highest click-through rates. So you definitely want to be focusing on those placements. The other thing is if you, for example, maybe have pages that have video on it and stuff, or your blog doesn't load so fast, maybe also select only show this ad to people who are connected to Wi-Fi. Because if you are showing a really slow loading page to people on cellular data, you're still paying for that click-through, but if the page doesn't load and they bounce, you've just paid some money for someone to just literally leave your site. So you end up wasting a lot of money if you don't do that. Okay, so quick little to-do list for anybody who's currently running ads. Who's currently running ads? Oh, nice. What are you running? Are you running stuff to buy, for people to buy stuff? Hands up. Or just promoting content? Okay, all right. So what you're going to want to do is definitely start using that dark post feature. The reason you want to do that is because that's going to pull all your social validation. When someone sees a post on Facebook or Instagram with 1,000 likes, 150 shares, they're much more likely to take notice of that post as opposed to a post that has nothing in it. So if you're showing posts that have zero engagement, people probably aren't going to engage. But if you can pull all that social data, people are much more likely to engage. Start using that breakdown feature that I just showed you. That's once you're already running the ads. So you can break down by location, you can break down by placement, gender, age, that sort of stuff, and start excluding all of the stuff that is costing you a high cost per click or a high cost per acquisition, depending on what you're sort of optimizing to. If you're just driving people to your content, you're going to want to optimize to the cost per click. If you're driving people to buy something, you're going to want to optimize the cost per acquisition. Don't use the boost button. Please don't use that. You want to optimize your ads. We'll skip that one because that's a bit more advanced. The other thing I really want you to do is talk to your customers about, or readers, tell them what they want to hear, what they want to listen, what they want to see, that sort of stuff, because that's where you need to start with your ads. So if someone really likes a particular post on your blog, start promoting that post first. Don't keep promoting just your most recent one. really just find your top converting or top traffic or most engaging content and start boosting that first, and then you can start like experimenting with new stuff. Because ads have a lot longer shelf life than, for example, organic stuff. So organic stuff will go and move down the feed within, a day, and then it's gone. But if you're running ads, even if it's just like $5 a day, that's just going to keep showing up at the top of people's feed every day for that $5. And you can pay, when you get your targeting and everything down, you can show that to thousands of people for $5. So the longevity of stuff with ads is really, really long. So if you're doing like a post with lots of affiliate links or something in there, and you're like spending $5 a day and making $20 back, that's just $15 a day that you're making on autopilot essentially. Okay, so the next section I wanted to go to, because I wanted to sort of like tailor this a little bit to this audience. And so the next section I wanted to go into is, we ran a little case study here. Before I came to this, once I found out I was speaking here, we ran a case study on how to leverage Facebook and contests the best way, because this is by far the fastest way to grow your email list. I'm going to show you some ways that you can actually use this to get affiliate money and also build partnerships and that sort of stuff. So I'm just going to quickly go over how to use contests with Facebook ads, because if you don't already have an audience, paying for an audience is a much faster way of building it up as opposed to organic. So, does everybody know how a contest works?
No.
Okay, so essentially, a contest is when you set a prize, and to win that prize, everybody has to enter the contest, and they'll compete to do things like refer friends, like your social media, watch a YouTube video to earn entries. And then whoever has the most entries at the end of your contest will win that prize. So essentially you're using gamification and incentivization to get people to do stuff that you want them to do. So this can be extremely valuable. I'll show you in a second. So why do we want to incentivize these things? So when we kind of go the organic route, it takes a long time to build up social channels, get comments on videos, all that sort of stuff. So a few reasons why you'd want to kind of incentivize this with a giveaway is, one, you can really boost up your metrics for like influencer jobs, for example. So if you want to keep engagement really high in your posts, you can make your contest say, okay, go and engage, go and comment on all my posts, go and like all my posts, go and regram my photos on Instagram, go and share my posts on Facebook. So you can really inflate your organic metrics by using this incentivization tactic. Giveaways also get people excited. So people don't really do stuff that you want them to do for nothing anymore. Like you can't just say like, hey, go and do this, and people aren't really going to go and do it. But if you introduce that incentivization, you've got a much higher chance of getting someone to do something that you want them to do. The other one is, it's a much easier way to organically build up, followers, engagement, that sort of stuff. Also increase website traffic. And then how we're going to do this, we're going to do this through the contest. I'll show you an example in a second. So I ran through and found a few contestants that had been using us that did really, really well, that we can kind of like break down and we can learn a little bit about. So this guy, Scott Cheap Flights, so he essentially was giving away, a trip. So he's obviously in that travel industry. He wants people on his email list because he sends out updates every week or every few days about flight deals that he's found. So he wanted to run this giveaway and attract people interested in traveling. So what he did was he created a contest and he made the trip, this was a trip to Ireland. And so he ran this and he promoted this on his Facebook. He ran Facebook ads to it. He sent it to his email list. And I think this contest generated more than 200,000 emails for him. And he ran a few of these, and it really boosted his amount of audience. And because once you have an audience, you can obviously sell stuff to that audience. So this was a really cost-effective way for him to build his email list, as opposed to organically doing it through blogging or maybe paying cost per lead ads, that sort of stuff. So he used ads and the contest to really build that. Another one was Mellow Travel. He used his contest to actually build his social channel. So he was actually working on building up social followers on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So he was running a contest. He was also giving away a trip. Trip maybe cost him a few $100. And then in exchange, he generated a few thousand likes on each one of his social channels. Now, you can definitely do this organically, but again, it's going to take you a lot longer. And you don't have to give away like a prize like a trip. You could give away, something of way lower value, but still get relatively good results. I'll show you the case study that we did on this, so I can give you ideas on how to do that, so that you don't have to pay too much. This one was a great example because he ran a giveaway. Expert Vagabond ran a giveaway, and he actually tied this in with a post. So he did a post on photography equipment for travelers, essentially. So he's giving away a GoPro backpack and all that sort of stuff. And he put this contest at the bottom of a post. And then so when people would read the post, they would then go and enter the contest to win that GoPro. And in that contest, there were all sorts of things like refer a friend, so he's building his email list, go and like his social channels, and also leave a comment and share the blog post. So this way, you can actually generate a bunch of engagement and shares by running a contest alongside with your blog posts. The other thing is this blog post also had affiliate links in there, so not only was he getting people to share his blog post, they were also sharing his blog post that had a bunch of affiliate links, so he's also making a direct return on investment on that contest. I can show you examples after, but we'll just run through this so we get through everything in time. So this next section is going to be the case study that we did. So when I got told that I was talking here, I was like, all right, I'm going to try and run a giveaway in the travel space and see how I do. My wife started a travel blog like 5 years ago. We post maybe once or twice a year. So what we did here was, I was like, all right, great, I've got a travel blog. I'm going to see how this goes. So there was a few things. I obviously wasn't going to fork out, $1,000 on a trip to award someone for this case study. So I reached out to a bunch of travel products or travel brands, and I'll say, hey, I'm running this contest. Would you be willing to contribute something to the prize? There's going to be a bunch of engagement around the contest. There's going to be follow-up emails that I'm going to be pushing your products in. I can have a special coupon code, and we can generate some sales from that as well. So I got about 5 or 6 companies to give us some stuff. You can see that little picture there. It was like some headphones, some travel stuff, sunglasses, bags, scarves, all that sort of stuff. So I got a bunch of stuff together. It took about 2 weeks to get all that sort of stuff together. And at this point, I haven't paid anything. So generated the prize without having to fork out any money, which was a win. The next thing I was like, okay, what do I want people to do? Now that I've got the prize, I've got to be like, okay, what should I be getting people to do to win this? What do I want to build? What do I want to kind of like expand on in my brand? So one, I wanted to actually make some money. So halfway through the contest, I added a little, you can see at the top there, that's 100 points to click through to my post. And that post I had a bunch of affiliate links on. And I made, I think it was about $30. I wanted people to retweet the contest. I wanted people to like, share, and comment the Facebook post. So I created a Facebook post about the contest, and then I awarded people to go and share that. So they were also sharing my contest as well, or getting entries into the contest. And then what I also did, which I'm going to show you in a second, which is going to tie back into Facebook, is I took that post using that dark post feature and ran that as ads. I'm going to show you all the results from that in a second. The other thing was, it was getting people to follow our Instagram account and all that sort of stuff. So you can see here, we were trying to incentivize a bunch of stuff, and we did this through running the contest along with the Facebook ads. There are some results further down that I'll show you in a second. So once you sign up for the page, this is what that page looks like, and essentially we're just getting people to do all of these tasks after they sign up. Alright, so the results are after this actually. I'll go through how to market it first. Keep the good stuff to the end. So as I was saying, once I created that post, this was the Facebook post that I created, and this is the one that I was getting people to like, share, and comment on who entered the contest. And then you can see at the bottom of that post the light skin color line and the orange line, I suppose. And so once I got enough social engagement from the contest, I then went and took that and then turned it into an ad. The other ways that you can market this contest, you can use like banner ads on your site. So if you have a really popular blog post or something, you can add your contest to that, or you can add it as a hello bar at the top of your website or something. You can do cross promotion with other influencers. So if you want to partner up with another influencer and be like, hey, let's run a joint contest, we can like share the email lists, or we can say, follow either one of us on social. That really helps because then both of you are then promoting it. So you're going to get a much larger audience. You can also promote it in like Facebook groups, all that sort of stuff, little private networks, whatever that you have there. And then there's like giveaways, directories, and all that sort of stuff. But you've got to be careful with giveaway directories because they're generally not great leads and not going to be very targeted. So even though you're giving away travel products, which is going to attract travelers, there's still going to be, if you go with those giveaway directories, there's still just going to be people who want free stuff because everybody loves free stuff. All right, coming back in and sort of some ideas on how to create ads for this. You always want to be using a lot of emojis. So emojis will always make your ads stand out and it will always make people click. We've ran so many studies on this and done so many tests, and every single time, as much as we don't like to admit it, emojis come out on top. The other things that you really need to do is you need to test. So when you create posts or when you create ads, you want to test at least 3 creative. So when you're, maybe you might have a new post and you want to get new traffic to this post and you might want to boost that post with Facebook ads, create 3 ads and then use very different images for each one of those. And then run that for a few days and then see which one gets the best click-through rate. And then once you have the ad that has the best click-through rate, only use that one going forward. Because the difference between a good and a bad image can be 2 to 3x the amount that you're going to pay to get someone to that blog post. So I usually suggest that you test a lifestyle image. If you're doing a giveaway, something like a product image, and then you can do something that's more artsy. So yeah, always test at least 3 creative. The other thing you can test is the text. The image is way more important, so I always suggest testing the image. If you want to go one step down and get even better results, you can also test the text. So once you've found your winning image, you can then create another post and then test like long form copy with short form copy, and then see which one converts better then. But again, every time you do that test, it gets obviously more and more complicated, but your results get better and better. So it's a trade-off, time or efficiency. The other thing is always add the link into the text. This isn't an organic post, so Facebook doesn't care if you have a link in there. It actually just adds a second opt-in option. So you can see here, if someone sees this post, they can click on the link or they can click on the learn more. So now I have 2 options to get someone to click through to my website, as opposed to if I didn't put that link in there, I would only have the learn more button. And people don't necessarily like clicking on the learn more because it's more obvious it's an ad. And so people tend to actually click on the links in text a lot more. But again, do this just for ads. Don't do that for organic posts, because Facebook does lower the priority of your post and lowers the reach if you organically have a post that has a link in it. The other thing is use video. Video is by far the best, and you always want to be promoting video that is a 4 to 5 ratio. Now, the reason that you want to do a 4 to 5 ratio, which is essentially a portrait size, like it's kind of like the phone size, is because you take up the most real estate in the news feed. So when you're scrolling through, your video at a 4 to 5 ratio takes up almost the entire screen, as opposed to this little image here, which is kind of like the landscape. This is 1200 by 628 pixels, and that takes up maybe half the screen. So always be using the 4 to 5 ratio sizing image or video, because you're not paying any extra, but you're taking up the entire screen. And as always, just test. That's the one secret to everything. So with that giveaway that we were running, that case study, we had created those tests, we had found the winning image, which was that last one that I just had on, and we tested a bunch of audiences. So the way that I found all of these audiences was I went through to that audience insights that I was showing you before, and I found out people who were interested in frequent traveling and also travel bloggers. And then so I pulled out these ones and I started running the ads to these with my best post in it. So now that we have the best post running in the best audiences. And on top of that, we ran this for a little while, and over time, we would cancel or pause all of those ad sets here that weren't performing very well. So there's a few metrics you want to have a look at here. So we spent about $660 on this case study. We got about a 50-cent cost per lead, so that's a 50-cent sign up, and we got a 27-cent click. So the average cost per click on Facebook is actually closer to $1.80. So when you combine it with a contest and there's incentivization for people to click through, you're not just asking someone to do something for nothing, you can actually get way lower cost per clicks. And you can see with the click-through rate there, the average click-through rate is about 5.6. The average on all of Facebook, including e-commerce stores and everything, is about a 0.9 to 1.3. So you can get much better results when you combine Facebook ads with something else, something that you're offering value with. And so this is when we did the test on the images. So you can see one of the images was the products of the giveaway, one of the images was Jen and I, and another image was some random hand reaching out in a hotel we stayed in Morocco. So here you can quite easily see that there's a huge difference between the best image and the worst image. So we ended up scaling the image that has an 18-cent click as opposed to using the image that has a 55-cent click. So when you think about it, you're getting double the amount of clicks for the exact same amount of money if you do this test and find out the image that's actually working the best. Now, if you were to do this with your blog posts, if you just want to promote your content, do the same process, because you can be paying twice as much to get people to your website if you don't do this test. And all you have to do is duplicate the ad 3 times and change the image. It really doesn't take that much time. But yeah, why did this ad work? So we tested multiple creative, as you can see. We optimized based on the KPI, which is key performance indicator. So in this case, it was the lead, because we were trying to collect leads into our contest. At some point, if you guys don't know how to set up conversions in Facebook, maybe talk to me afterwards, because it's a little bit more complicated and I don't have time to go through it in this presentation, but I can show you afterwards if you're up to that standard and want to start collecting like purchases and leads. The other thing is we inflated this ad with the contest. So we made sure that when you entered the contest, you had to share, comment, and like this post to get some entries. And so that's really what drove that social media validation up, because there was a ton of engagement on there. And Facebook has this thing called a relevancy score. So the relevancy score is essentially how much people like or dislike your ad. So if you have a relevancy score under 6, you have to pay way more money for Facebook to show that ad to people. If you have a relevancy score over 6, you're doing much better. So if you have anything under 6, stop running that ad, unless it obviously makes sense and you're selling something and you're getting a good return on investment. But 9 times out of 10, under 6 is no good, and you're going to want to get rid of 6, and you want to focus on stuff that's got a relevancy score of over 6. And the key metrics for getting a good relevancy score is engagements on the post and how little negative feedback there is. So negative feedback is when people say, I don't want to see this post anymore, or they unfollow you, or they hide your ad or post. So those are the negative indicators on Facebook and Instagram. So try and avoid that. Okay, so now we're getting to the results of this whole thing. So we had a bit of an increase in traffic. We spent $660, obviously, and I think we pretty much 3 to 4x our traffic during the 2 weeks that we ran this contest. And this was from people sharing the contest, people sharing our blog posts and all that sort of stuff, because we obviously awarded entries for people to share our content. And also people will, when they enter the contest, they refer other friends and families and co-workers to join the contest so they can get more entries. So you get a lot more people visiting your site. The other thing was we tried to monetize it. So when we spent that $660, we wanted to make some money back straight away. Because usually the way that you do it is once they're on your email marketing list, you then market to them further down the line, you create email drips, and you sell them stuff over time as they get to know you more. But the other way you can do this is you can get some direct return on investment by getting people to share posts with affiliate links in them. I think in this one we're actually using a Goda. But you can add banner ads to your blog posts. You can add product reviews, like we saw in the Expert Vagabond doing product reviews on photography gear and linking out to Amazon using their affiliate program. And of course, we were linking out to hotels in this one. Hotels are a great one because they have really high payouts, I found. So these were the results from our little test that we did. So it took me about a month all up, 2 weeks to organize all of the prizes, 2 weeks to run the test. And at that time, we spent about $660. We generated 2,200 emails, so it's roughly 29 cents an email. We got a bunch of YouTube views, comments. I tried to start a Facebook group, and so we got our first 300 people in our Facebook group. Obviously, nothing on some of the people's level here, but remember we started from 0 on this. So if you're like a new blogger, this is an easy way to get your first 2,000 email subscribers and 500 followers. And then we got some Instagram followers and some Twitter followers. So that was kind of like the results out of a month's worth of work. So this is like a great way that you can kind of use Facebook quite cheaply. Everybody thinks it's actually quite expensive to advertise there, but if you get a little bit more creative with how you use it, you can definitely obviously drive much cheaper clicks and email subscribers. There's not many other places where you can get like under 50-cent email subscribers. So this was our direct revenue from Amazon affiliates. I never actually even checked our Go to one, so I don't know if you got anything from that. But yeah, if you tie this in with a blog post with affiliates, you can obviously do extremely well. And if you already have a blog with a bunch of traffic, like I think we were getting 150 people a day, so we don't have much traffic at all. But if you have already a large email list, social following, and email traffic, you can obviously do 10 to 100 times X what this is, because we didn't really have that many people to market it to, because we were starting out. But if you have a lot of people, like, it's much easier to run these giveaways. All right, so once you've collected all those emails, you want to make sure that you follow up with them all. So that was the first half of your campaign. So you've collected the leads, you've got your social followers, you've made a little bit of money, and now it's time to monetize all those people. So they've all signed up to your giveaway, and now you're going to follow up with some email drips. So in your email drips, you want to kind of, obviously introduce yourself, talk about your brand, get familiar with each other, and then at some point along that drip, you're obviously going to start selling or getting them to do whatever you want them to do, whether it's, join more social channels, sign up to a retreat, read some more blog posts. You're essentially nurturing this person to eventually ask them to do something for you, because that's the common exchange. It's like, I'm going to give you value in exchange for either time or money. So you're going to take all those email leads, you're going to put them into your email marketing system, whether it's like MailChimp or Aweber or whatever it may be, and then you're going to send that to them. Now, the most important email is the first email you send them. It has an open rate of around 60 to 70%. So everybody who entered that contest is probably going to read it because they want to find out if they won. I'm going to show you an example of it in a second. So make sure that you're providing value in that first email, and if you need to ask them anything like, hey, these are the sponsors of the contest, these can be affiliate links too, go and check out their products, blah, blah, blah. There's a $20 discount for anybody who entered the contest only. So that way you can also monetize that list already, straight out of the gate, email one, or you can hold off and do it later on. But I highly suggest that you maximize the amount of things you're going to put into this first email, because it's going to have such a high open rate. So that first email that we sent looked like this. So we collected the name, so we made it a little bit more personal. We linked back to the contest so they could see what the prizes were and all that sort of stuff. We announced the winners. So in this case, we had a first place winner, which was Cleo. And we also drew a random winner. So the reason that we do this, the first place winner is competing for the top spot. So they're all like sharing stuff, following everything to get more entries in the contest to get to the top, to win that contest. Now, if someone enters the contest like day 7 out of 14, they're like, well, shit, I'm not going to get to the top. I only just started. That's why we have a random winner prize. So the random winner prize was kind of like an almost similar value amount to the first prize, but it was drawn at random, so everybody was still excited when they entered to go and share your stuff, follow your social media and all that sort of thing. So that kept kind of like hope for the people who entered later to still win something. So we announced those two, then we asked them to check out our Instagram and Facebook. I didn't actually link back to all of our kind of sponsors. I did that in email too because I was cheeky. But you can obviously link back to all your sponsors in email one. And if they are affiliate links, it obviously makes sense. Mine went affiliate links, so I was like, I'll do email too. Yeah, and the other thing is to also set expectations. So in this first email, tell them like, hey, thanks for joining. I'm going to send you more awesome content or more awesome travel deals. Set the pretense of like what value you're going to provide to them. So I know that was kind of like maybe over some people's head or too easy for some people, but yeah, love to take some questions and let me know if there's anything you want clarified. I told you have to walk up to the mic. I'm sorry. No, to ask the question.
I just wanted to know which contest were you using? Rafflecopter, Gleam? What are you using?
Viper.io.
Viper?
Yeah, but you can use any of them.
Okay.
Like they all do a very similar thing. Yeah.
I've been kind of grappling with this. How valuable are these email leads really? Like, am I going to have a really low open rate on my email list if I keep doing things like this? Because that's not really...
No, so this is a really good question actually. So this really comes down to when you're picking a prize. So if you're offering like an iPhone, you're going to get a ton of signups, but those people aren't necessarily going to be interested in travel stuff. So that's why that example for Scott's Cheap Flights, he decided to give away a trip because if people want to win a trip, they're obviously open to going on trips. So that prize really made sense for the type of person he wanted to attract. If he had given away an iPhone, you probably would have got 2-3 times the amount of signups, but a lot of those leads wouldn't have been interested in ever buying flight deals from him. So you definitely want to keep the prize very specific to who you want to attract. Yeah.
Do you have an opinion on marketing to businesses on this platform versus individual people?
You definitely can do B2B, but it is a little bit more expensive. So the B2C industry is a lot more impulse. So people are scrolling through Facebook, they're like, I like those shoes, I'm going to buy those right now. Whereas it's a very quick decision and only that singular person who's in the feed at that time has to make that decision. If you're doing B2B, usually there's more than one person in the decision-making process. So what you really want to do with B2B is have a really good remarketing funnel. So the top of the funnel, you want to just be attracting people for really cheap. And then you want to have remarketing from when they visit your site or they download some sort of lead capture or that sort of thing. So the first one is piquing their interest. The second one is asking them to do something like buy something or inquire or sign up for, a tour or something. So yeah, really use remarketing a lot for B2B, and B2C is much more like direct response, impulse buys and sign-ups and that sort of stuff.
Regarding the optimization, what tips do you have to offer on that? I know you mentioned the relevancy score, and if it's below 6, probably cut it off, but are you looking at like, does this get 1,000 impressions before I cut it? 2 days, like what are the checkpoints where I should really start chopping stuff off?
Yeah, so usually you want to wait like 2 to 3 days, and you want to have, a significant enough spend. So if your budget is $100 for your campaign and you're running 3 ads, you might want to spend $5 per ad. So you definitely want to have like enough money or enough spend on those tests before you justify the answer. So if you're getting clicks for 30 cents and something's only spent $1, that's really only 3 clicks. So let it run for another $2 or $3 to see if it like maintains that really low cost per click. So I would say you want to spend at least $5 to $10 per ad, and then you want to run it for at least 2 to 3 days, because it also changes on the day. So people tend to buy maybe on Saturday and Monday, but if you launch your ads on Friday, you might miss that period. So let it run for a few days. Don't ever like optimize day of. Always look at previous data. Don't look at your day of data.
Thank you.
No worries.
I have two really quick ones for you.
Mhm.
So what are your thoughts on using a Facebook Live as a dark post instead of just a text post?
Yeah, that's great because the content's already there. It's not as effective like as obviously the live, but if it's educational and you're providing benefit to whoever's going to be watching it later down the line. So if you're like teaching something or you're showing someone a location that you're traveling to, that sort of thing, it's working really good. But if it's just a Facebook Live that's just like an update that's time sensitive, it's not worth doing.
Okay.
But if it's educational and it's going to provide value, it's definitely worth repurposing that content because you've obviously already made it. So it makes sense to reuse it because, otherwise you just have to remake more content.
Okay, and then the second one was with the comments that you're getting on your blog and on your social accounts.
Mhm.
What was the quality like?
Well, you can ask them what you want them to comment. So, for example, in that case, we were like, hey, tell us which one of these hotels is your favorite. Or you could say, okay, what's your opinion on this topic? And then link to the blog post. So it's all about the question that you phrase, and you're trying to stimulate a question because that's going to create a much better response than just like, hey, leave a comment. They would say, hey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's all about phrasing that question.
Hi.
They put that way too high.
I know. Well, I'm just way too short. I have a question about defining your audience for an ad. So, generally speaking, is it better to leave an audience that has like a larger pool? So, like, say you're interested in targeting women who might want to go to Bali with you. Would you target women who are 18 to 35, interested in Bali, live in New York City? Like, how specific do you get it, or do you just leave it open to women interested in travel?
So start large and get more narrow. So you want to have at least, like for cold traffic, so people who have never heard of you before, you want to have audiences of like 2 million. And then because once you take that 2 million and you start optimizing that down as you start collecting data, so it's like, okay, I'm finding that it's females that only work, so that cuts the audience down to 1 million. It's 18 to 24, so that cuts the audience down to 800,000. And then I find that it's newsfeed only, so that cuts it down to 600,000. So you need to start with a large enough audience so that when you optimize it down, there's still some people left in that audience. So start with like 2 million for prospecting, and then remarketing traffic, you obviously don't have a choice. It's however many people are visiting that page. But yeah, aim for about 2 million.
And then just like test to see if your returns are higher when you make it more specific.
Yeah, so as you run that campaign and you look at that breakdown, so you're looking at like, okay, 25 to 35 is no good, it's actually only 18 to 25. Then you adjust that in that campaign settings or the ad set settings so that you narrow that down to optimize it again. The other thing is you want to test multiple interests in separate ad sets and just pause the ones that don't work and just run your best performing ad sets.
Thanks.
No worries.
Hi. How do you know exactly who does what they're told as far as like commenting and not just like entering and not following or doing any of that stuff?
Yeah, so there's two ways. So if there is an open API for that platform, so for example, Twitter has an open API which allows you to verify it, it automatically does it. But for other platforms like Facebook who don't allow the API to validate, you have validation questions. So you might ask, what was your username, or what was the blog post about, or how long was the video, and then you can have either a correct answer or an open-ended answer. And so that's how you validate stuff that doesn't have an automatic validation, or some of them like Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, those sort of ones, they have automatic API validations.
Okay. Thank you.
No worries.
Hi. So this is a bit of an addition to the woman that was asking about women, going to Bali.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a travel client in Colombia, and we're bringing Americans down.
Mhm.
And so when there's a sense of urgency, like we've got a deal going, say for Spanish classes or a tour or whatever, I'm using the traveling in the country, and then segmenting based on their language, like they're English and they're from the U.S. and that these kind of their behaviors. The challenge is that it is yes a cold audience,
Mhm.
but they're in the country at least, because it's just so hard to start with a cold audience that's in the US and then expecting them to come down to that country.
Mhm.
But of course, when you use that traveling in or recently in, the numbers are just, you're marketing to a few thousand people. So I don't know if you've used that or if you have another recommendation.
Mhm.
And then I heard there's a travel intent feature now, but I'm
Yep.
finding with some accounts it's not available. So
Yeah, so there's a few things. You can obviously add in layers of interests. So the way that I would structure your account is I would have a larger prospecting campaign, which is people interested in travel and Colombia. And then when you have the deals, run those deals to remarketing and then that smaller audience that you've got. So that way people are already interested in Colombia and they're frequent travelers. They might be just waiting to book a trip. And so you're kind of getting them to your site, you're getting them prepared because it's probably a longer decision-making process if people are going on a holiday to Colombia. So they're probably not going to see an ad and book that trip all in that one session. It's probably going to take a few touch points. So I would say you want to have two layers. You want to have your prospecting layer, which is much broader, and you find out if it's just Americans or if it's Europeans as well, but have that audience that are people that are interested in Colombia, who are expats, who are frequent travelers, that sort of thing. People who would be open to going on a holiday there. Also target all the tourism boards for Colombia. I'm sure a lot of the tourism boards or big tourism companies have Facebook pages that you can target. So have that top level, and then when you have a deal, run it to everybody who likes your page, friends of people who like your page, also everybody who visited your website. And the other thing to do is use those lookalike audiences that we talked about.
Right.
So if you already have a list of people who have already been on your trip, upload that to Facebook, and then that will create a lookalike audience for you.
Right.
1% of America creates a 1.9 million size audience. And so that 1.9 million size audience is where you could also start marketing that offer to, because all of those people are going to have similar traits to the people who have already actually been on the trip. So Facebook will go up and match demographics, geographics, browsing behavior on social pages that they both like, that sort of thing. So that's another way that you can find very targeted prospecting traffic.
Great. So just one addition to that, sorry, is when I do use lookalike audiences, I'm always questioning whether, they might have the same behaviors and location, but who's to say they're really going to actually want to travel there?
Well, the other thing you can do is you could take that lookalike audience and then say people only interested in Colombia.
Okay.
So you can layer the audiences on top of each other. So everybody in this lookalike 1% audience who's interested in Colombia, only serve the ad to those people.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
No worries.
So I'm curious about how you chose how much to spend for the ad, because I've run several ads, and while $600 isn't a lot in the grand scheme of life, it kind of can be a lot for somebody who's just starting out. So I'm doing $5 to more, and so kind of talking more about how much we should be spending.
Yeah, so essentially you want to think about this as a budget. So it's how much am I willing to spend to achieve this? So it's if you're running a giveaway and you only expect to make $1 per email address, or that's pretty high actually, 50 cents per email that you add to your email list. So you work out, this might get me 10,000 emails. How much money is that? I can spend this much amount on marketing it. The other thing is you might want to start out just by doing it without any spend, and then your second one, once you've actually got that list already, your second contest you might want to actually boost with some paid media. But you kind of want to think about how much money am I going to make from these people, and how much should I be paying for someone to join my list. If you layer in affiliate stuff and all that sort of thing, it obviously increases the amount you can spend, because you can make some direct return on your investment on that. But yeah, start off what you're comfortable with, set a budget and just don't spend anything over that budget, and make sure that you're gonna make that money back somehow, whether it's monetizing them in your email list, through affiliate posts or affiliate deals with people who give you prizes for the contest. But it's just takes a little bit of math to figure out how much you're gonna make and how much you can spend. Or the other thing is, if you know you're not gonna make money for the first for the first few weeks that they're on your email list, find out a comfortable amount that you're willing to spend before you're willing to make that back from them. Yeah. All right, was there any other questions? No?
I have a microphone.
No, go for it.
Roughly, if people are paying for this from a company, so it's $600, what do you think is an estimate? You can kind of assume like, all right, 30% of that if we use an outside agency would be a cost. You know what I mean?
As in how much it would cost an agency to run a contest for you?
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
I know it's kind of broad.
it's really going to depend on the agency. But I see agencies charging, around 2,000 to 3,000, but they obviously put in way more work. They have affiliates that they work with, they spend money on ads, they, set up the contest for you and everything. It's very turnkey. So usually there's a bunch of case studies as well. If you go to the Viper blog, there's a bunch of case studies on agencies that have run contests for stuff and contests for people, and they'll get 10, 20, 30,000 emails for $1,500 to $2,000 to run the contest. So it all depends on do you have time or money? If you've got the time, do it yourself. If you've got the money, you can get someone else to do it, and you can focus on other stuff. But I think roughly they charge between, to be safe, $1,500 to $2,500 probably. Oh, don't know what happened there. But anyway, if there's any other questions that you guys have and want to catch up afterwards, that's a little bit more in depth about tracking conversions, all that sort of stuff. Just chase me down after this.